a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness. Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast.
It's not AI that's going to fix it. It's the context and the mind shift the organization makes while adopting AI that's going to help put that to life, bring that to life.
So the advice is look at your business, your culture. Do you have empathy and heart in it? If not, fix it. And then start implementing AI. That should be your first step.
I want to invite you into the Business Network, my free school community for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to grow their network and scale their business. Inside, you'll get step-by-step lessons, monthly workshops, feedback, scripts, resources, bonuses, and a community of like-minded people who believe in helping each other win. Join us today at school.com, the Business Network, and click Join Group. I'll see you inside.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona, and you meet somebody on another podcast and you just connect and you bring them on your podcast. But we're going to talk about a subject that's all over the world, AI, but how AI could be a servant's heart. Let me say that again. How can AI serve you with a heart? And it can, because I'm using it that way, and my guest is going to do that for you. He's going to talk all about that. But here's our gratitude for today. You are strong. You are amazing. You can handle any obstacle that comes your way. Wow. Powerful. You are. And I don't care who you are, who's listening, we all can achieve that. And that's something I can use today because I have a couple obstacles today I need to work with. So we're always dealing with obstacles, and that's okay because that's life and business. So with that being said, let's bring our guest on. Tullio, welcome to the show, my friend.
My pleasure. You know, there's a lot of things you can learn by reading books and watching others, but perseverance isn't something you can learn. You have to go through obstacles to develop that quality. So every obstacle you overcome helps you become more resilient. And the more resilient you become, the more confident you become, the more at peace you are. So there is something that comes out of overcoming obstacles. It's called peace. So it's a gift when it happens, but most people don't see it that way because usually when you're in the thick of it, it's ugly. So
yeah. And it's something learned. That's like a servant's heart is not something you wake up and go, okay, I've got a servant's heart. I got resilience. You need to learn it. And that's the power of it because anybody can do it.
Yes. And usually people who have overcome obstacles tend to, at least from my experience, tend to have an easier time serving others because they've been through the proverbial hell and have found the way out and are eager to help others do the same thing. So we tend to want to serve people because we've been there. So that, again, it turns into a gift. Every obstacle, every challenge eventually becomes a gift that you can pass on to others.
Very, very well said. And that leads to AI and a servant's heart. Really, Tullio, can that really happen?
Well, here's the thing about AI. AI will amplify whatever organizational structure you have. It's not going to fix your company. It's not going to bring heart into your company unless it already has heart. And then you can amplify it. So, and in fact, a lot of companies have found themselves struggling to adopt AI. I think some research showed that 70% of implementation in most major Fortune 500 companies have been abandoned because it's uncovering dysfunction very quickly. So it's not like some software, some technology you can put in place and say, this is going to fix everything. It's going to replace people. It doesn't work that way. It just amplifies what you already have. So if you have poor decision rhythms, poor architecture in place, poor design of how the organization is set up, AI is just going to amplify that and make it even worse. So the answer to the question, can AI help you have a more servant heart, is yes, if you embody that context within the organization, then you can scale it and you can enhance it because AI will amplify what is already there. So it's not AI that's going to fix it. It's the context and the mind shift the organization makes while adopting AI that's going to help put that to life, bring that to life.
So the advice is look at your business, your culture. Do you have empathy and heart in it? If not, fix it and then start implementing AI. That should be your first step.
Well, absolutely. And it's not a technology implementation. It is a major change. Think of it this way. You're going to have the fastest, most well-informed employee on the planet who could work for you and can produce extraordinary results. But if you have a structure where everything has to have rubber stamps of approval, that employee will choke, right? If you have a structure where decision rights have not been designed into the system, where there's individuals that are the go-to for everything, that employee is going to choke. You know, in any organization, that employee would leave, would quit, right? So AI may not quit on you, but it's not going to work the way you want it to because it's designed for autonomy and for speed. And so if you don't have an environment where that's welcome, it's like inviting the best employee you could ever hire, but then shackling them to a seat and saying you can't do anything until I tell you you can do it. It's like what Steve Jobs used to say, don't hire people and tell them what to do. Hire smart people and let them tell you what to do. So you have to embody that context first. And many organizations will find themselves in trouble. They're bringing in AI and it's automating dysfunction that's already there, especially around authority, for example, and decision rights. If you don't design those well and everything is a go to an individual, you know, you're kind of at the mercy of whether you have an enlightened monarch running the business. And sometimes the monarch dies or leaves, right? And then you got someone else who comes in who might be a tyrant monarch. Now your whole organization changes. So if you have systems that are designed around individuals, that's not sustainable. But if you create systems that are designed around embodying certain context, certain ways of being, i.e., being servant leaders, having compassion, empathy for others, dare I say, even love for others. If your organization embodies these principles and lives it and designs the organization and the organizational rights with these principles, then you can have AI come in and exponentially scale this for you. So now you have positive impact from it versus just showing you very quickly how dysfunctional you are.
Yeah, and just finding dysfunction is important, which leads to what's the advice you give people that are listening going, okay, Tullio, you're right on, but what's my first steps? What advice can you give them to look at look at that business for dysfunction in heart and empathy?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate throughout my career to have adopted some really great tools and rituals and methodologies that I eventually packaged into a whole framework. So I created the Empath IQ Framework. And within this framework, the very first step is what I'd like to call collective self-awareness, right? Like it mimics what we go through as individual when we're going through our own personal transformation and personal growth journey. The very first key to that growth is self-awareness. Without you understanding yourself, without seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly, you can't go from point A to point B if you don't know what point A is. So being truthful to who you are and where point A is key. Most of us have an aspirational version of who we are, and it's kind of like who we want to be. We think we're there, but most of the time we're not. So being absolutely honest with yourselves and becoming aware of where you are is key. So the first step I do is I encourage to do a force field analysis which was created in the 1950s. It's a fantastic way to look at a specific goal. You can pick any goals because it's going to bubble up everything, right? Let's say our goal is we want to increase sales by 40% next year, or be very specific. We want to go from 20 million to 30 million next year. Okay, that's the goal. Great. Where are you right now against that goal? Okay, we're at 22 million. All right. Well, okay, what percentage of that is? Let's call your 60% of your way there, right? Then we talk about what has gotten you to 60% of your goal. What have been the drivers or the driving forces that have gotten you there? And we list them, both the internal forces. We had a good strategy on sales. We had a good marketing strategy. We had good leadership. We've had good people. We created something that was very disruptive. A number of areas that can point to what has worked well. And those are your driving forces. And then we take an honest look at, okay, what are the hindering forces holding you from achieving 100%? And we start looking at both internal and external forces. And external forces could be, there's been fierce competition in this space. There's been a downturn in the market. There has been a sentiment change among customers for what they prefer. All those factors are hindering forces. It could be we don't have enough budget. We don't have a good leader to head customer success. We have some gaps in customer success. Whatever those very expansive look at what's holding you back, those are the hindering forces. And really what you're trying to do is bubble up where are the friction points, because friction is the enemy of all business. So what I recommend is look at what's working, because you want to amplify those things. And then look at what's in the way of your progress, because you want to remove those things. Those are the friction points you want to remove. So now, what happens when you've gotten this awareness, right? Well, the awareness is only one piece of the puzzle. What are you going to do with it is the big question, right? So the next stage of that is putting those things into motion. Well, how do you do that in a way that's systemizing it across the organization, where you have also an opportunity to collaborate so that you can continue to have awareness across the organization, not just a few people working on this. The entire organization can rally around. These are the main things we're going to work on. We've got these friction points as a business. It's going to take us probably 2-3 quarters to address them all. And the first quarter, these are the key ones we think are the low-hanging fruits we can tackle right away. And then, so I recommend looking into collaborative OKRs. And when I say collaborative OKRs, it's because traditional OKRs can be very transactional, right? You have owners, and then you have teams that work on those OKRs, but they still work in silos. I like to change the model and introduce collaborative OKRs where we remove the silos. So it becomes about what is the key thing we're trying to work on? What are the key objectives that we need to meet? What are the results we're trying to get from those objectives? And what are the activities to get to those results? Whether it's amplifying what's working or removing the hindering forces. And then who wants to participate across the entire organization? And so I recommend creating 3 roles. The role of a champion, where you have the individuals that will look at the specific objective and key results and say, that really resonates with me. I want to champion that. And you might have multiple people that want to champion that across different parts of the organization. And that's a good thing. You want that. And then the other role is to introduce a supporter role, right? So maybe it's someone's like, that really resonates with me. I want to support that team. I don't want to lead it as a champion, but I want to support it. I have some value I can add to this picture here. So they'll join as a supporter. And then the third is literally an observer, someone who has no clue how to get that done, has never participated. So then the big question is, what are you going to do about this? So you've learned this about the organization. You've learned about the things you should be amplifying that are working in your favor, the things that are in the way of your progress, the hindering forces, the friction points. What are you going to do about it? So traditionally, most organizations will put together a team or a committee that's going to go tackle and then divvy up all those goals against the key objectives they want to reach by department. So it's handled in silos. I think that's not as effective as creating an environment where people actually collaborate together and work on these things, not as departments, but as a whole. So one of the goals might be we're going to redefine our go-to-market strategy, or we're going to redefine our ICP. It could be a number of things that comes out of this learnings and says, okay, it's probably going to take us 3 quarters to get to everything, but we're going to tackle the lows hanging fruits right away. And there may be a conversation. I encourage to have the conversation across departments and say, here's what we've learned that we need to overcome. Which one of these can we tackle the fastest together? And then I have people provide input and say, okay, we want to tackle X, Y, Z, right? One of them might be, we're going to redefine our ICP. It's changed. Let's redefine it. Okay, great. Then what I encourage companies to do is to introduce 3 roles. So it's not about the title that leads these goals. It's the functions that are responsible for these goals. And the 3 roles are the champion, which is someone, it could be anyone in the organization that says, I feel really strongly about this. I want to champion this. I may not even be the expert in this topic, but I am the most passionate one that I want to champion this. So there may be a number of champions for the same objective, and that's good. That's what you want. And then there may be some other folks that say, I really don't have the bandwidth to champion that, but I have some value I can add to this process. So I'm going to be a supporter. So now you introduce the concept of a supporter. And usually the supporter is a number of people across different areas of the company that want to contribute to that specific objective. And then finally, introduce an observer, someone whose role is simply to watch and learn. Maybe it's a software developer that's never been involved in defining an ICP or a go-to-market strategy, and they want to learn what that looks like. They want to see how their role ties into these other things that the company's doing, and they might join as an observer. So now that team becomes the leadership team for that specific objective, and they work collaboratively towards moving forward that objective. And there's no silos, there's no departments, it's cross-department. Now, a few things happen when this takes place, Steve. One, we're introducing the concept of collaboration across the organization. 2, we're introducing transparency across the organization. So there's knowledge about what we need to work on together. So there's a sense of collective desire to achieve the same objective. So there's a unification that happens. And 3, by introducing those roles, we're actually tapping into something that matters to every single one of us.
Mm-hmm.
One, there's 4 key tenets that make super effective, highly engaged organization. My co-founders of radicalpurpose.org and I studied this for 2.5 years, and we came out with these 4 key tenets. 1 is the desire to belong to something greater than yourself, which is why politics and religion is so big. We all have a desire to belong to something greater than ourselves. 2 is the desire for meaning behind what we're doing. Again, same reason those systems are so big and why people become entrepreneurs or join movements, right? 3, the desire to make an impact, which is why you become an entrepreneur, or you start a company, or you have a family, right? You want to have an impact. And finally, the desire to be becoming, to grow, which is why this self-help industry is like $1 trillion, right? We all have this innate desire to become more than what we are. So when you create these roles, you're giving people an opportunity to make an impact, to be becoming, to give greater meaning to what they do, i.e. the developer who's never done a ICP definition effort gives greater meaning to his or her role, because now they're participating in something they've never done. They get to learn something, but they also, interestingly enough, sometimes the great wisdom comes out of places you least expect it. At some point when they're participating in these calls, they might suggest something, so they now make an impact. And that makes it all feel like we're part of something greater than just my department, my little silo, right? So you're activating this very intrinsic human need by creating this model. So we create awareness, We create a plan on how to work on it, but not just a plan on how to work on it, but how to transform the organization in the process of working on these things to be highly collaborative, highly engaged. And in that process, then the next step is to also introduce some design thinking principles, which is to say, everything we're going to solve has to be infused with empathy. We're not just solving the transactional need of this problem. We are solving towards an experience that's meaningful. We want to ask, how does this impact people? That's the big question. How does this impact employees? How does this impact customers? How does this impact investors? How does this impact partners, vendors? When you think about the people, then you elevate what you do to a servant heart, because you're not just being transactional with solving the big problems, you're being intentional. And that's where design thinking really comes to life, when it becomes an intentional, intention-based design, right? So you infuse that thinking into everything you do. How does this impact people? Because we want to have a positive impact on people, something that's empathetic, that drives towards an outcome that's meaningful, not just a transaction. And then finally, coach people along the way, especially the leaders. The leaders have the hardest time moving into these models because they feel a sense of loss of control. You've created an environment where you really don't need them. There's collaboration across the company. There's so that the lines have been broken. The kingdoms have sort of been removed, because you're just creating, what's actually in charge are the champions and the supporters, not the title. So they need some coaching sometimes to realize, okay, what is my role now? Well, your role is to serve. So there's an opportunity there to then transform the leadership team into one that serves the greater good, by helping them see that their role is to bubble up the next leaders, to encourage people in those roles of champions, of supporters, to be effective at what they do by supporting them, by serving their needs.
Yeah.
So in this model, over 2-3 quarters, you end up come out on the other side, a very transformed company, one that highly collaborative, very transparent, no silos, less friction points, speed, trust, less hierarchical. Hierarchy still happens usually because the people willing to serve others get followed. So now it's become serving out of merit. You become a leader out of merit, which is really what most servant leaders are. They get followed not because they have a title, because they're willing to serve the greater good. People automatically follow them because they feel like this person is going to take care of me. Right? So this model is what I would encourage companies to do. It's a transformational model. I have successfully implemented it a number of times. It's taken 3 quarters to a full year to see the impact, and after 2 years, the impact is just magic. Like, you watch a company, you see people stepping up, doing things that you didn't think they could do in the past, because you're now empowering people, to unshackling people, right? And you'd be surprised how many great people you have already working for you that feel somewhat marginalized and shackled because there's too many controls. They're not able to cross the lines into other areas and get behind things that they're passionate about, because they're focused to stay on their lanes. So they're more compliance driven instead of driven to contribute because they feel like they matter. So this is a big change in transformation. Now, when you've done this and then you introduce AI, you can't compete with a company like that.
Those are incredible tips, man. It's sad we're coming to the end here. Audience, hope you wrote some of that stuff down or listen to the replay recording, because those are fabulous. And I wrote some notes down myself. Last question. What's your legacy going to look like, Tullio?
I want to be remembered for someone who helped people feel like they could be more than they thought they could. That's really what it's about. I'm about empowering people. And it's not me empowering them. It's me showing them that they have it within themselves. I've had to overcome a lot myself, a lot of self-confidence issues, self-esteem issues. And I've been very fortunate to have had some great mentors and coaches along the way, and many obstacles. that I've had to overcome, which has helped me build resilience and perseverance. And so my mission, my higher purpose in life is really, how can I help you become more and feel better about who you are? What's in it for me? Well, there's nothing more satisfying than watching people grow and expand. And, I've seen people become
Powerful.
CEOs, have families. There's nothing more satisfying when you have that servant heart. That's what you live for, is seeing people grow and be successful. It makes you happy for them to be successful and for them to be happy. So hopefully that'll be my legacy. I don't need a big legacy. I just want to leave that with my kids. But if it impacts other people and they remember me for that, wonderful. Then I'll, if I can impact one person and say I was able to grow because he helped me, then I've achieved my goal.
I'm with you. Similar legacies. Let's end with a personal question and get to know you a little deeper. So I'm going to reserve a table at a restaurant. You're moving to Dallas, so say it's Dallas. I want you to invite 3 people who've been influential in your life, whether dead or alive. And I'm a foodie, so you're going to order food for the table. What would you order?
Okay, so what would I order, or the people that are going to be there, or both?
Both.
Okay. So first I thought Jesus, because he's gonna turn water to wine, so we'll never have any wine missing, and it's probably gonna be the best vintage ever. So
Yeah,
all right. So that
I
one.
like
So we're
that.
gonna have some wine, but it's gonna be like the most perfect wine ever. Okay. And then the other one would probably be let's see, what else I would want to have there. Probably Joseph. I like Joseph a lot because he had to overcome a lot. Talk about a servant leader. He was sold as a slave by his own brothers and then was accused for something he didn't do, but he stayed faithful. And in the end, he saved his entire nation. So and he was recognized as a servant leader, even though he had many obstacles to overcome. And I would love to learn from him, like what was that like. And probably the last one would be Job.
Mm,
Talk about overcoming stuff. I mean, he's the example of overcoming stuff. Okay, so only because there's just it's a one thing I really appreciate when I see people that have gone through a major shift in their life. They're different people. Their hearts are open. It's a different conversation. It's a different resonance. There's so much honesty and raw
yeah.
truthfulness. You just can't help but be around them. It's just feels good to be around them because they've removed all the masks and all the nonsense. And like, I've been through all this. I don't need to make believe. This is it, right? So these I've chosen the ones that have gone probably through some of the most difficult situations, because they would be so open, so beautiful to connect with, their hearts so expansive that it would be a gift to have a meal with them. Now, what will we eat? I don't know. We'd probably eat some Mediterranean food, like some good hummus, some baba ganoush, and some lots of vegetables and fruit, and maybe some lamb. That's it.
There we go. Get a little protein in there. Well, thank you for being a wonderful guest and taking your time today. How can people reach out to you? Because I know people want to connect.
Just my website, TullioSiragusa.com. TullioSiragusa.com.
We'll get to, and we'll put that in the show notes so you have access on YouTube and the podcast. And thanks again, Tullio, and audience. Share, subscribe, get this out there. Impact people, give them a gift, serve them with these podcasts, whether it's mine or anybody else's, and we'll make a difference. And that's going to be powerful. So that being said, me and Tullio want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.